If you think blood makes you family, you haven't met mine. My name is Ella, and the people who were supposed to protect me, the ones who shared my last name, they left me. Not once, but every single year, like I was a page they never meant to write in their family story. But 10 years later, when I stood on a stage that I paid for with the same pain they handed me, and they walked in, laughing, clueless, they had no idea this wasn't a family reunion. It was a reckoning.
Hi, Imeya.
The forgotten daughter. The background blur in every childhood photo. The one who never got the invitation but always saw the pictures the next morning. And this is the story of how I turned their silence into my spotlight. It started when I was 15. My grandmother died. She was the only one who ever really saw me. When she held my face and whispered, "You're going to change the world one day," I believed her. Because she never lied. She never ignored me. She never made me feel small. But after she passed, something shifted. My parents, my siblings, my aunts, and uncles, they didn't say it out loud. They didn't have to. Suddenly, I wasn't invited to the Sunday dinners. My name was left off the family group chats. And the first year they held the reunion without me, they said, "Oh, Ella, we thought you were busy."
Busy?
I was 15. I cried that night. Quietly. In my room. But not for long. Because even then, I made myself a promise. If they were going to pretend I didn't exist, one day, I'd show them a version of me they couldn't ignore. And so I worked harder than anyone knew. I got scholarships, studied design,
Took part-time jobs.
I skipped parties, missed sleep, said no to distractions, because every rejection they gave me became fuel. 10 years passed. I never said a word to them. Not once. But then I bought it. The venue. The exact hall where they'd held their annual family reunions. Where they laughed, toasted, took pictures while I watched from the outside. This time, I sent the invitations myself. It had my company's name on the letterhead. No mention of me. They thought it was just another high-end networking event. But when they walked in and saw me standing there, on that stage, in that dress, with cameras rolling, their smiles died. They still didn't know what was coming. Because this wasn't a celebration. This was a story. My story. And they were finally going to hear it. I could hear their footsteps echoing through the marble floor. Their chatter, their laughter, the clinking of wine glasses. All so casual. So confident. So clueless. And me? I stood behind the curtain, holding the mic like a blade. Not shaking. Not hiding. Just remembering. Because every sound they made reminded me of the years they forgot me. I remember being 16, standing by the window of my dorm room, scrolling through Facebook as I watched their reunion photos go up. My cousins in matching outfits. The barbecue. The cake that said family forever. Except I wasn't there. Again. And it hurt. God, it hurt like hell. But I didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't even cry that time. I just whispered to myself, let it burn. Let it build something. Now, here we were, 10 years later. And I wasn't the ghost anymore. I was the host. When I stepped out onto the stage, the spotlight hit me like sunlight through a storm. I looked out and there they were, my mother, front row, wearing pearls like she still had grace. My father, arms crossed, still pretending to be too proud to care. My sister, perfect hair, perfect teeth, still the favorite, still smug. And the rest, the ones who never saw me, never called, never noticed the missing chair.
They all looked at me.
And for a second, just a second, I saw confusion. Then shock. Then regret. I raised the mic. My name is Ella. I smiled. And the room went still. I know. You weren't expecting me. But don't worry. I'm not here to ruin your night. I'm just here to remind you whose name you left off the invite list. There were whispers. Awkward laughs. A few gasps. I let the silence stretch. Then I took a breath and told them everything. I used to count how many times I wasn't invited, I said. First year, it was a mistake. Second year, we thought you were busy. Third year, nothing. I stopped counting after the fifth. I looked at my aunt, the one who used to braid my hair when I was little. You said I was too sensitive. I looked at my uncle. You told Mom I was different. I paused. You were right. I am different.
I didn't let this break me.
I let it shape me. I pointed at the room around us. This event? This success? This me? You didn't build it. You abandoned it. But I built it anyway. The air got heavy, like truth was filling up every corner they had left hollow. And then I saw it. My mother, wiping the corner of her eye. But I didn't soften. Not this time. Because where was she when I needed her most? Where was her love when I stood alone in college award shows, clapping for myself? Where was her hug the night I got my first paycheck and cried in the elevator because no one was proud of me? I looked at her, and I said it out loud. You don't get to cry now. The audience was quiet. Some of them strangers.
Some of them family.
But for the first time, they all heard me. I walked across the stage slowly, deliberately. Every step was for every time I wasn't clapped for. You know what hurts the most? I said into the mic, it's not being forgotten. It's being deliberately erased. I turned toward the back row, where my brother sat. He looked down. You made a joke once. Remember? I said. Called me the family footnote. Everyone laughed. I did too. But that night, I ripped up my college rejection letter and started again. Because I promised myself I will never be a footnote again. Some guests in the room, strangers from outside my family, began clapping. Not the fake kind. The real kind. The kind that lands in your chest. I wasn't asking for applause. But I finally had it. And not one family member could look me in the eye. I gestured to the dinner table beside the stage. It had 12 golden chairs. Names carved into place cards. My team sits here now, I said. The people who believed in me, who showed up, who never asked me to shrink so someone else could shine. I walked over and pulled out a card that said, reserved for Mom. I held it up. This seat was yours once. Then I let it drop, right into a flame-lit bowl in the center. The name curled and turned to ash, just like the affection she offered me only when there was an audience. My mother gasped, but said nothing. That silence, it was finally hers to carry. Then I raised my voice just a little, just enough to cut through the weight in the air. I built a multi-million-dollar design firm, won national awards, was named top female creator of the year. Did any of you call?
No.
But now you're here, dressed up, smiling for cameras, acting like I was never missing from the first 10 chapters of my story. I paused. You weren't in my beginning, but you will remember my end. And they would, because tonight wasn't a dinner party. It was a documentary.
Filmed.
Recorded.
Archived.
The whole world would know what I rose from.
And who tried to bury me.
One by one, my family began to leave. Some walked out in silence. Some wiped away tears. Some mumbled things like, we didn't know, or we didn't mean to, but I didn't follow. I didn't hug. Didn't argue. Didn't chase. Because the version of me who needed them, she was long gone. Now I was the version who chose who stays. And I chose peace. Even if it meant I sat alone at the head of my table. At least I knew I earned every inch of that seat. It's funny. People think revenge has to be loud. But mine wasn't. It didn't scream. It didn't slap. It stood.
Tall. Composed.
Unshakable. My revenge was becoming everything they said I couldn't. And doing it without them. And when they saw me happy, thriving, unbothered, that was the real twist. They had to watch me live the kind of life they never thought I deserved. And they were no longer welcome in it. So, if you've ever been the forgotten one, the outcast, the one who didn't get the invite, don't shrink. Don't beg. Build something so big, they have to buy a ticket just to watch you shine. Because the best revenge is success, served with silence.